The lights were blinding, the cameras locked in, and every pair of eyes in the room seemed fixed on one moment. Judge Amul Thapar, known for his sharp intellect and relentless questioning, leaned forward with the kind of confidence only years of authority can give. His reputation wasn't built overnight. He was the kind of man who asked questions like a scalpel, slicing away the outer layers of an argument until nothing but raw truth or weakness remained. And tonight, everyone expected him to do exactly that. But across from him sat someone who wasn't supposed to be shaken so easily. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, a freshman lawmaker to some, underestimated by many, but carrying with her a composure that no spotlight could dim. She wasn't just sitting in that chair as a politician. She was there as a test of patience, a test of strength, and a test of what happens when power meets poise. From the very first exchange, the tension was unmistakable. Judge Thapar wasted no time, firing off his opening challenge with a tone that demanded control. His questions were tight, layered, designed to trap, the kind that leave even experienced leaders fumbling. The audience held their breath, waiting for the inevitable stumble, waiting for Crockett to lose her footing. But something unexpected happened. Instead of rushing into an answer, instead of filling the silence with nervous words, Jasmine Crockett let the pause hang in the air. Seconds ticked by, the room grew heavier, and every camera zoomed closer. Her silence wasn't hesitation, it was power. And then, finally she spoke. Her voice was calm, almost disarming. No defensiveness, no panic, no scrambling to please the judge's framing of the question. She spoke in a steady rhythm, like someone who had already rehearsed this moment in her heart 1,000 times. She didn't just respond to what was asked. She reshaped it, took control of the narrative, and set a tone that even Judge Thapar hadn't anticipated. The silence that followed wasn't empty. It was electric. For a split second, even the judge seemed caught off guard, as if her calm had bent the energy of the room in her direction. The studio audience leaned forward. Viewers at home froze mid-scroll. What they were witnessing wasn't just another heated exchange. It was the spark of a battle where composure itself was the weapon. The early minutes had already shifted the energy of the room. But Judge Amul Thapar wasn't the kind of man to step back after one unexpected moment. If anything, Crockett's calmness only sharpened his resolve. His eyes narrowed, his voice grew firmer, and the rhythm of his questioning intensified. He pressed harder, framing his words like traps within traps. Each question carried weight, designed to box her in, to force her into corners where there seemed to be no way out. Viewers could feel the pressure through the screen. Every word he spoke seemed to say, "Now let's see if you can really hold your ground." What was supposed to be a straightforward test of authority had turned into a quiet battle of wills. Judge Amul Thapar, respected for his precision and dominance in questioning, had unleashed almost everything in his arsenal. Yet, somehow, Jasmine Crockett stood untouched, her presence growing stronger with each passing moment. The judge leaned in further, his tone sharper now, every syllable carrying the weight of his position. He spoke with the authority of years on the bench, the kind of authority that could make seasoned politicians stumble. His voice rose slightly, not in anger, but in intensity, as if trying to break through the armor of Crockett's composure. But Crockett wasn't rattled. She didn't rush to fill the silence he left between his questions. She didn't flinch under the glare of the cameras. She simply waited, unshaken, and then answered in the same measured, calm voice she had used from the beginning. Her words weren't designed to match his aggression. They were designed to dissolve. And here's the thing, it was working. The harder he pressed, the clearer it became that she wasn't just answering questions. She was controlling the entire tempo of the room. Each calm response was like water against stone, wearing down the sharp edges of his approach without ever raising its voice. People in the audience began exchanging looks. Some whispered under their breath, astonished at what they were witnessing. Commentators on live broadcasts started to take notice too. One remarked, "This isn't the exchange we expected. She isn't just holding her own, she's shifting the ground beneath him." Another said, "Look closely. He's the one on defense now, not her." Clips of the debate were already spreading like wildfire online. Viewers replayed the same moments over and over. The judge's cutting question, followed by Crockett's pause, her steady gaze, and then her calm, piercing reply. The internet lit up with reactions. "This is how you face power." She turned the tables without raising her voice. Calm is louder than anger. And that was the turning point. What started as a contest of sharp words had become something bigger. This wasn't just about politics anymore. It was about resilience, about dignity, about how people handle themselves when the pressure is unbearable. For those watching, Crockett wasn't just answering Judge Thapar. She was answering every moment in their own lives where they had been underestimated, spoken over, or cornered by someone who thought they held all the power. Judge Thapar tried once more to tighten the screws, his voice steady, but his frustration showing at the edges. But Crockett didn't bite. She gave him nothing to feed on. No panic, no anger, no stumble. And in that restraint, she revealed something profound. That the real strength in a confrontation often belongs to the one who refuses to be rushed, the one who stays centered while the storm rages. He tried one last time to push her into a corner, his tone deliberate, his phrasing more pointed than ever. It was the kind of question that had silenced many before her, the kind that usually demanded a defensive scramble. But Crockett did what she had done all along. She didn't rush. She let the silence breathe. She looked directly at him, unwavering, and then delivered her reply with the same steady clarity that had carried her through every round. The words themselves mattered, yes, but it wasn't just what she said, it was how she said it. Measured, patient, free of fear. And when her final sentence landed, the room fell utterly silent. Not the awkward kind of silence, not the uncomfortable pause of someone unsure what to say, but the heavy, undeniable silence of people realizing they had just witnessed something bigger than politics. The judge leaned back slightly, his face giving away just a hint of surprise. For all his experience, all his years of questioning, he hadn't managed to shake her. And in that moment, the unspoken truth filled the air. Jasmine Crockett hadn't just answered his questions. She had owned the entire exchange. The audience felt it too. Some sat in awe. Others quietly nodded, and millions at home, watching through their screens, carried the same thought. Composure is power. Commentators later called it a turning point, a moment when the balance of authority shifted before everyone's eyes. Not because the judge lost control, but because Crockett showed that true strength doesn't need to overpower, it only needs to endure. Social media lit up again, but now with a different tone. People weren't just impressed. They were inspired. Clips of the silence after her last answer spread across platforms with captions like, "This is what it looks like to stand your ground." She didn't just win the moment, she changed it. And maybe that's why the moment resonated far beyond the studio. Because all of us know what it feels like to be under pressure, to face someone older, more experienced, or more powerful, and feel the weight of their words pressing down on us. Many of us know what it's like to be underestimated, dismissed, or pushed into corners where it feels like no answer will be good enough. But Crockett showed something different. She showed that you don't need to outshout your opponent. You don't need to match their fire with fire. Sometimes, the greatest strength you can show is the refusal to break. To stay calm when every part of the world expects you to collapse. To own the silence when others expect you to stumble. As the cameras faded and the exchange came to an end, one thought lingered. Judge Amul Thapar had entered the room with authority, but Jasmine Crockett left it with something even stronger: respect. Not just respect from the people who supported her, but from those who had doubted her, from those who had watched with skeptical eyes and left with something they couldn't deny. And that's the lesson this moment left behind. In life, you will face people who try to corner you. Bosses, teachers, rivals, even friends or family. People who test your patience, who push your buttons, who expect you to falter under their weight. And in those moments, you may feel like the storm is too strong. But remember this, you don't always need to fight louder. Sometimes the storm breaks not because you shout back, but because you stand your ground and refuse to move. That's what Jasmine Crockett did that night. And that's why the studio froze in silence. Because everyone watching understood, deep down, that they had just seen the kind of strength we all hope to find in ourselves. So the next time life corners you, think of this moment. Think of the silence. Think of the calm. And remind yourself that true power isn't in the noise. It's in the courage to stay unshaken when the W